The family of an LAPD officer killed during on-the-job training in May now suggesting that a murder occurred. Lawyers for the parents of 32-year-old Houston Tipping said he died during an LAPD grappling exercise in which officers simulated a mob attack. Coroners officially ruled the death an accident, but the Tipping family attorney now says one of the other officers involved in the exercise was actually under investigation for sexual assault, and that Tipping had reported it. The lawyer said, quote, "I'm certainly alleging that at least one officer engaged in an abuse of force in order to try to scare or harm Officer Tipping in order to prevent him from investigating a claim of rape." Joining us now to break down the key details of this really disturbing story is Elizabeth Nolan Brown, my colleague at Reason Magazine. Great to see you, Elizabeth.
Hey, Robbie.
So tell us more about this story. I gather from reading your great piece about it at Reason that this was a training exercise. I didn't know they did these kinds of training exercises where there's like a mob attack, like you're overrun by a bunch of protesters or something like that?
Well, this is what's confusing because it was officially listed as a bicycle training exercise, and Tipping was supposed to be training officers on how to use their bikes. So it's very unclear why it ended up in any sort of grappling exercise, which is what the LAPD claims happens, or why it ended up with any sort of, hand-to-hand sort of wrestling when it was just supposed to be a bicycle training exercise.
Right. When I first saw your headline or read like the first paragraph, I expected training exercise, accidental death was going to be firearms related or something. So this was kind of unusual that it would be like that. He was beaten essentially, right? He suffered bodily harm from that kind of thing, right?
He had 3 broken ribs, a lacerated liver, several subdural hematomas, a broken neck. His spinal cord was injured. So there was extensive injuries. And his lawyer is saying that, this could not happen just from the simple grappling exercise that LAPD is claiming it happened through. His family is saying that they think he was actually, beaten or otherwise sort of injured, not just in this exercise that they say.
So one of the other officers was being investigated for sexual misconduct, and our victim, Officer Tipping, he was a witness, or he was giving testimony about it, or he was actually the officer investigating it? What was the nature of their relationship, or how that was going?
Yeah, this is where things get really crazy, and this is what the new information is this week. The lawyer came out and said that in 2021, a woman accused 4 LAPD officers of gang rape, essentially. And the details are pretty brutal that the lawyer described. And the person who took the incident report on this was Officer Tipping, the one who died. So he was the one who was helping investigate these allegations against 4 of his colleagues in LAPD. And then one of those officers who was under investigation was present at this training exercise. The lawyer says he can't confirm for certain that the officer under investigation was the one who was engaged in activity with the guy who died, but they have reports that he was one of the guys involved in this exercise that ended up killing Tipping.
Wow. That's something that has happened. That's been reported that cops, that being described as snitching on each other, get pressured from other police, not to report bad behavior by their colleagues, and have gotten harmed because of it. So obviously that's what everyone is wondering is the case here.
Sounds like something out of like a LA detective story, though. Right. It doesn't sound like the kind of thing that you think that the LAPD is still doing, but the LAPD never sort of ceases to surprise with the sort of horrible things that actually end up coming out of it. So
you would hope and expect that in a situation like this, where there's a police officer investigating another police officer, there would be some kind of, they should not have contact with each other, or there should be some protocol for keeping them separate so as to not even contaminate the investigation, right?
Right, but and to be clear, the county medical examiner, like you said, he said it was an accidental death. The department is sticking with the story that it was an accidental death. That these major injuries that Tipping suffered were somehow sustained in the course of trying to save his life. But as lawyer Rebecca Kavanaugh pointed out on Twitter, county medical examiners in general have a bad history of underestimating police deaths. There was a study last year saying that about 55% of the fatal encounters with police were ruled accidents by the medical examiners in charge of autopsies. So,
wow. So is something going to happen now in terms of an investigation? This is just the lawyer claiming this, right? And they filing a lawsuit? What is the state of that?
Yeah, Tipping's family has sued for alleging wrongful death. So I guess more information is going to come out in court as this lawsuit plays out.
Well, we'll definitely be paying attention to that because it's certainly, we don't know, and everyone deserves due process, obviously, and strange things happen, but it certainly looks fishy and definitely worth looking into further by the police or reporters or by the court, et cetera, because, man, that does not just happen.
Doesn't look good.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Liz. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And we'll have more Rising right after this.